So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to today's webinar on HIVE CMS, industry-leading content management for the AEC industry. My name is Patrick Simek from SolidCAD, and I am a technical consultant on the AEC team. This webinar, I will be covering CTC's HIVE, which is an industry-leading content management system for the AEC industry. You'll be demonstrated areas of HIVE that will make your current workflow more productive. Some learning objectives while using HIVE and what we're going to see in this webinar. So accessing the HIVE content browser. So again, we could do it locally from the desktop or directly from Revit. How to search and filter through content. So again, with different content that is being uploaded to HIVE, how we could search through those. Save and reuse search criteria to enable more productivity. So instead of repeating the search and filtering of items, we're going to then see how we could save and reuse these search criteria. And then finally, dragging and dropping content into our design model. Also, we'll be taking some questions and a Q&A at the end of the session. So again, if you could hold off to those questions, we could get those answered at the end. Why use HIVE? So one of the reasons why you may want to use HIVE is because as you work inside of Revit, you do have many file types and locations where you can have content stored in many areas, which may make it difficult to kind of find for all users, which HIVE could help you clean it up. Window file structure can get messy. So as you work through different versions of Revit, as we start making different folders, categorize them, it could get very messy and out of hand once we start creating specific folder structures. And again, from user to user, folder structures may not be as consistent as we'd want them to be. File name isn't always enough to search for. So when we are searching for content, sometimes just the file name itself is not enough. I'm looking for a door, but what type of door? We need to look for more parametric data or information about a specific door type that we are looking for. Also, accessing files outside of the office. So again, if we are not in the office, as we have been doing for the past while now, accessing information directly to the VPN can be slow, but if we can use something through the internet or HIVE, will make things a lot quicker. So let's just already jump in right into a demo utilizing Revit and HIVE CMS. So with HIVE, one of the things that we can do is we could directly open it from Revit or even from our desktop. So again, you do not have to have Revit open to access HIVE, but within the Revit environment, as I have right now, going to the CTC tab within the Revit environment, we'll see in my case on the far right of my ribbon, we got the HIVE CMS. So let me just run this. As you run HIVE, you could have multiple versions of Revit open. So again, as you work with multiple projects, Revit 2020, 2021, and now 2023 is out for us, we could have multiple versions of Revit, which HIVE can actually handle. So again, you do have design apps or a design app function, which you can kind of switch between versions of Revit to make sure you have the current or up-to-date content for that Revit version. So again, as we open up the HIVE CMS, this is going to be the interface we use. And this interface is going to be on the user's end, not again on the admin side. So as we kind of see from here on the left side, we have a few different options. We have the Home tab. With the Home tab, we can see certain content libraries that we may have access to, save searches, tags to help us identify content in a different way, Revit categories, search highly rated content, and newly added content. We do have some other features on the left, which we'll be going through: search, save searches, and other options there. So as we kind of look through the main area here, as a Revit user kind of comes in, instead of always looking for the files where they are somewhere on the server or somewhere locally on your machine, one of the nice things about HIVE is saved searches. So as if I were to start a brand new project, at the very top left, I could click inside this area and see some saved searches. Right here, there's one saved search called Revit templates. To the right of it, it actually shows kind of a little icon that this specific safe search is provided throughout the whole organization. So all users will have this safe search part of their Hive CMS. We could always customize our own safe searches for our own productivity, but also as an organization, you could have already specific safe searches. So from here, if I just click the Revit templates, automatically it's going to be running through the content that I have access to from the different libraries and then showing us what we can use. And again, we could always go back to the Home tab at the top. And another way of going to your saved searches will also be from the main home screen. So again, I could click inside of here and we have Revit templates. And once again, we could work through there. As I mentioned, you could have multiple iterations of Revit open, which then Hive will pick up. At the very top, we have the design app, and there's a dropdown we could have. I currently have Revit 2020 and 2021 open, so we could start picking and choosing which version that we want to kind of work with. In my case, I'm going to start with my Revit 2020. As we start kind of working through here, I could start searching for the content that is specific to my project. I could also run a search at the very top of the Hive CMS. So again, instead of doing a safe search, I myself, let me go back to the home page. At the top, just like in Google, I could also type in template, once I get that right. And in a few seconds, we'll start to see content specifically driven to what we are looking for. As I am working in Revit 2020, we'll see only content available for Revit 2020. I will not see other kind of content for Revit 2021 and higher, since again, Revit is a version product. So we can start to see now just template files that we could use for Revit 2020. With the content being uploaded, as we would want to start a project, here I could have a project starter. So again, with this file in place, I could quickly select this file instead of going directly in Revit, double click it. It will ask me, since it is a central model file, we would usually detach it, save as, or detach it, preserve the work sets. Hive is already doing that for us. So again, with a couple of clicks, we can select some of these options here, click open. Selecting my work sets, making sure all of them are open within my view, and gonna click OK. So without looking for a location where the template file was, I could quickly use Hive, select the file, double click it, and it'll automatically open inside of my Revit software. So once I have this project open, one of the things I'm gonna do is in my project browser, I do not have many views here. So it's a very stripped down Revit project that I am using. Not many views, and not many views at all. So I'm going to use another tool from CTC, which is the View Creator, to quickly create different views with different floor plans and some abbreviations for some naming convention features. So as I click the View Creator from the BIM project suite, I can then select some of my items here. I'm going to give a couple of abbreviations for my floors. So again, just for naming convention, moving forward, just going to do a couple floors here, selecting which levels I want views for. Once I have those levels, what view templates do I want to create views for? You can make enlarged views, you can make finished plans views, general, life and safety, and working. So again, selecting my levels that are inside of my project, view templates that I would like to kind of work with, and then the phasing. So everything's just going to be new construction, no abbreviation needed. And at the bottom, how do I want the naming convention to be? So again, based on the level, using the abbreviation, view template, and phase. And as I click add, you'll see a list of different views already created, ready for me to create. And as I select create views, in a matter of seconds, 25 views have now been created within my project. And just gonna hit close out of here. So once we have a couple of views created, I'm going to jump to one of my floor plans. So typically inside of your projects, as you start working, you start looking for different families. So I'm going to start by placing in a few walls inside of this project. Just use a basic wall in place. If I start now creating a building and then I want to add additional content, I want some types of doors. So without going to my door command or my doors themselves, if there is nothing loaded inside my project, this is where I'll tend to use Hive. So as I bring Hive back up into my view, I'm going to go back to my home page. So again, depending on your access and permissions, the different libraries that the admin will give you, I'm going to select libraries. From here, as my Patrick demo user, I am available to select 4 different libraries with content that has been uploaded to them. So when I select Patrick's test library, here we could see all the different content that has been loaded inside of this library. At the very top, we do have a search bar. So if I'm looking for a door, I'm going to type in single. As Hive starts to kind of process and search through my elements, we'll start to now see a lot of different items or families being produced. So again, the word single is actually part of many different families. Even if it's just part of the naming convention, it is also probably embedded somewhere inside of the family. So again, here we could see I have a door, which what I'm kind of looking for, but then I start to see VAV units. As I keep going down, I see some cabinets. So again, I start to see a lot more content that maybe that I'm searching for. So again, what Hive does, it looks to that metadata. It starts picking up all the different information as you start searching. It's like a Google search. You type in some information, it will search everything and provide that back to you. So with the doors that we have in place, at the very top, what we can do is if I wanted to bring in a door to my project, I'm just going to scroll down a little bit more, see my other doors. And actually, as we're working through here, since there are too many doors for me to kind of choose from, or too many single parameter elements for me to verify, what I could do is use filters. So right now I filtered to the library. At the very top, we still have additional filters. I can click inside of there, and now we can get a little bit more technical in what we are looking for. One of the options we could use is Revit content only. So again, Hive cannot only have Revit content. It could have any type of content, Word documents, PDFs, AutoCAD files. So different content you could always have within your Hive content. From here, along with that, I could do just only Revit content, and then I could start selecting categories, and let it be, I'll just select a specific door or a door category. And now again, we kind of finalized or filtered a little bit more to what we are looking for. So again, here we'll see a list of doors that were part of the families. And if I wanted to bring in a door, so again, if I come here and let it be, I'll select my, say, pocket standard door. As you double click the door to add it, we will get a pop-up here. So again, with a type selector, as you would in Revit, you select Insert tab, you select the family, you may get a type selector. We also get it from the Hive content. Also at the top, depending on what version your content was uploaded in, you will then have a drop-down and select which version you want. Since this one was uploaded in 2019, I'm in 2020, I could then still select it and have it upgraded. With your type options, you can select which types you'd like. So again, we can start loading in the different types of doors in my project, or you could also take the other way around and just load all the types, which again will bog down your project with many door types. So again, selecting a few door options will make it a little bit cleaner. Selecting the door types that I want, load the selected ones, and there we have the upgrade process from the older version. And once it is loaded, it is ready for me to place. So as we can see in my properties dropdown, as I loaded them in, there was already an existing door, but now I've selected something more specific to what my project should be using. As I start selecting these doors, we can start placing them in as we would need inside of the projects. So again, searching for the content can be done really easily through the Hive system, typing in just a couple of words to figure out what you're looking for, but then also adding additional filters within there. If you have multiple monitors, so right now I'm just kind of using one, you could have Hive on one side, Revit on the other, and then it'll make it that much more seamless as you are looking for content. Another item that you could do is you could actually dock your Hive in the foreground if you're just using one version or one monitor. So again, at the top, we could pin the window to the top, and then as we start selecting Revit in the background, we still have Hive in the foreground in our project. So again, I'm just going to leave that within here. So the reason for not having it dockable is because you could have multiple Revit versions, and then within the Revit versions, you also have the design app options. So with this, kind of just using Revit 2020, if I were to jump to a newer version of Revit. So again, here in the background, I have now Revit 2021. Just gonna uncheck the save option. So with the content, you can clear whatever you're looking for. So again, one, by switching the apps or switching the Revit versions, it will automatically switch your design app. We can clear our filters at the top, just again to a blank slate with what we are trying to search through. And we're back inside of here. We could also click the Home tab at the top and look at all those libraries. So with my new product in place, if I do not have any walls that I'm looking for, so if I come into my blank project that I'm working with, if I go to the Architecture tab, select wall, I just have very basic walls. So one of the nice things about Hive is that you could actually load in also system families and have them saved within the Hive content. So again, if you do have specific wall types that are typically being used from project to project, or again, if you have different project types or topologies, you can then have already those walls uploaded into Hive. Let it be they could have different tags applied to them, or even that metadata, which you could then search for. So if we were going to search for a wall, I could come into, once again, Hive, type in, let's just say interior. So again, I'm typing in the word interior. The Hive software will then start to look for any element that has the word interior. So again, it's not only looking at the naming convention, but it's also looking at all the other metadata that is a part of it. As mentioned before, we could always then filter out what we are looking for. I can pick which library. So if you know a library that you're always using your elements from, you can then select that option. Any tags that may be applied to those elements. I'm only looking for Revit content since I am a drafter. Revit categories. I'm always looking for walls. In this case, when I click interior, so I'm going to click the wall function and let it be what type of wall. It's going to be my basic wall and Revit content. Once we have that filter in place, going to click apply. And in a few seconds, we should start to see it filter down to what we are looking for. So once we have the filter in place to bring in the wall, simply double clicking the wall, whichever one we're looking for. Oh, sorry, I think I'm already in a command here. Let's double click the wall once again. There we go, double clicking the wall. We now see that new interior partition has been selected, and I could go about and start adding the walls as needed. So again, from here, we could see we could filter out towards different Revit categories, towards different libraries, and having our elements that you're probably looking for searched in a searchable and filtering kind of mode. Inside of Revit, also, as you may know, from one project to another or from one template to another, loading in walls as an example. The workflow inside of Revit would be going to your Manage tab, selecting Transfer Project Standards, and then you could click Transfer All the Walls. But the one downside to that is that all the walls from the project that you're bringing it from, or the template, every single wall comes through. Not all projects need all the walls inside of what you're working with. So that's where Hive can come into play, and you can then select individual wall types. With your searches that we start to have over here, if it's something that you want to save. So again, here I know I'm always looking for an interior wall through a specific library, and it's only going to be Revit content. Once you create your search, at the very top, you can save a search. So we select Save Search here. What do we want this to be named? This can be my interior walls. And then always you could add a description. But once I finish from here, I can click Save. The next time around, if I were to clear any of the filters that I am using, back to the top, as we saw the Save Searches for templates, once I click in there I could have my interior walls. So without clicking all of those other features, again, looking for the library, looking for a category, you can save your searches and quickly get the items that you are looking for. If your search does change, so again, I just searched over here for some kind of specific just interior Revit content, but if we want to give a little bit even more detail, so again, if you're looking for a specific tag, or if you want to add other categories, maybe not just a basic wall, maybe a curtain wall also, with a new filtering option, if I click Apply, so again, don't have too many current walls in here, but as I click the new Save Search, I can override a previous search. Select Override, and then we could click Save. So again, you could always modify and edit the saved searches that you're working with, again, as content is being added, or as you kind of work through your projects and figure out which ones you would like to use. Gonna go back to my home page here. So as you are using Hive, Hive not only can use Revit content, you could also load in other types of elements. So again, if I come into here and I type in, not sure if we have a drafting view. Oh, drafting view here. Oh, there. So with Hive, the other items that you're allowed to kind of search for also is content like schedules. You're also able to bring in drafting views or search for different types of drafting views within your projects or within the libraries. In the filtering options, you'll see many different Revit categories. So again, you do have categories for schedules. You do have categories for sheets. You do have categories for room tags. So again, anything that you can search for inside of Revit can then be hosted inside of the Hive and then utilized within your projects. I'm just going to clear these filters here. Within your user interface, you do have other options too. As you click an element, so if I just come down here, let it be, I'll click this chair, you could find additional details. So again, Hive not only brings it in as a naming convention, but when you select an element and you click details, we can start to see additional information that is part of that specific item. So again, all of the Revit properties that are applied to it. Actually, we'll use a different one here. This is just a chair. I'm going to go and select a door. Yeah, so if I click a door over here, we can then start to see the different details associated to that specific family. Again, what version has been created, is there a type catalog, and if not, what type sizes, in this case, that we start to see within the door. Other types of viewing options. So again, if you're using one screen or two screen, at the top, we could always minimize the details, start increasing or decreasing your tile size. So again, depending on how much content you want to see per that item. Also, looking at it with different data. So again, instead of just seeing the actual visual of the item, maybe you want to see a little bit more of information about the item, so we can start to see it in more of a list form, as we start to see over here. Again, we have a list form there. And then the final viewing option is like a table view. So again, more data that you can start to kind of look at within the viewing options. So with the content that you have loaded, as you're working with them, we saw that you could create searches. We saw that you could save the searches. You could use your filters within those saved searches, but also you could favorite items. So if you are utilizing a specific door always from time to time, or you're utilizing a specific wall from time to time, when you click a element, so as I selected here, you do have the little heart to kind of save it as a favorite. Again, select it as a favorite search. And actually, got to go back. Let me click door again. Let's go back to this viewing type. Yeah, so with the door selected, as you select them, first, I didn't even mark it as a favorite. If you right click on the element and you go mark as favorite, then we start selecting, gets a little hard on it. I come to another area, right click on the door, mark as favorite. You start to have now the kind of favorite option. At the very top, besides saved searches, you do have the little heart again for search favorites. When you click inside of there, your search bar kind of just has in brackets your favorites. And again, whichever elements that you have favored, they'll then show up in this list. So again, another way of looking at your content or your elements within the Hive area. So as mentioned before, different types of information you could look for as you are searching within Hive. I'm just going to close out of here. So as mentioned, if I'm looking for documentation, so again, I'm going to come into here and I'm going to go to shortcuts. So I type in shortcuts and we can see automatically a PDF shows up. So again, inside of your Hive CMS, you can have different types of files uploaded for you to use, from Revit content to AutoCAD, PDF, Excel, etc., and working through there. So again, different libraries are created, different permissions are provided to different users, and you could kind of work through and search for all that different content. So again, with all the different, I come back here, with all the different options, what Hive provides is you have the ability to create libraries specific for project types or specifically for content that you're using. Along with those libraries, you have permissions that can be given to certain users. Safe searches are greatly used within Hive. You could have it as a organizational safe search. So again, Revit templates, maybe for people who are starting other projects, quickly to go into that location. Also, your own safe searches can also be found and created within the Hive CMS. Additional items, Revit categories you can always look for, rated content and newly added content. And the great thing is using just the search bar, like a Google search, previously searched items that you have in place or new ones, and then Hive will be looking through the different metadata as you work through. So with that, so in conclusions, Hive allows you to search everything. So whatever has been uploaded to libraries, you could search anything from the naming convention to the metadata that's a part of it. You could search everything just like a Google search. Hive searches the metadata of the files I just mentioned. You start typing in door, you start typing in interior, you start typing in single. It's going to look through every single piece of file that is uploaded. And if it does contain some type of data based off your search, it will then find it. With that data, you can then filter down to what you kind of are looking for, and then also save your searches. So again, that you don't have to do that repetition of looking and setting the filters. Content may be available in the cloud. So again, you can have content in the cloud, but also locally in your machine. Instant consumption of files. So again, one of the things is when you select a file, it automatically brings it right into your machine. It automatically brings it right into the project. So again, it is not being lost in translation. And then also allows Revit specific use, but doesn't only allow for Revit specific use. So again, it is a Revit tool that definitely can be used as we saw, searching for the different content and then filtering out what we need. But also on the other side, we saw where you could utilize PDFs, AutoCAD elements, and also Excel, different file types, which you can also search, use, and utilize during your projects. So with that, again, thank everyone for coming out to today's webinar session. My name again is Patrick Simic, technical consultant. My email is here, patrick.simic@solidcad.ca. Feel free to reach out to me in regards to any kind of questions or comments that you may have. And with that, I'm just going to open it up here for any questions. And then any kind of questions you have, I will be surely try to answer. So just give a few moments here for any kind of questions that anyone may have. And again, I've also opened up the microphone if you have any kind of questions. You can speak up through the microphone, or if you just want to kind of add any questions through the question and answer option. Thank you everyone for attending today's webinar, and I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you.